Hey, how's everybody? This is Percy King with King Speak Podcast. All right, this one's another one about relationships, and we're going to talk about a few things, but the main subject matter is I was looking online earlier and something struck me. There was a woman on there and she was saying, well, you know what I think? I feel like if it's the man for you, if it's the right man, you're not going to have to change anything about yourself. You're not going to have to do anything and he's just going to accept you the way that you are. We keep hearing this thing. We keep hearing the same thing from a lot of these women. Now, first of all, there are still good women out there. For sure there are. There are ones who don't believe in all this mess that some of these women are talking about. They haven't been changed by feminism. They don't want to be men. They want to be treated like women and they act like women. And when I say act like women, they still have the same characteristics that men are looking for. They know how to treat a man. They know how they want to be treated. And they're just basically good people. And they don't have these ridiculously high body counts. They haven't been around with everybody. And they don't think that they're too good to help in the household. And nor do they think that they're too good to help with bills if necessary. I mean, because we have to realize that, black folks have not always had it like that where, the woman can just be in a household. It's been many, many years that, black women, were maids, they were assistants, they did whatever they need to do to make sure that their household ran. And they still went home and did what they need to do because the man did too. There was always things for the man to do, his manly deeds, fixing things around the house, mowing the lawn, taking out the garbage, disciplining kids, doing whatever he needed to do. And those have always been the things that we've done. But we keep hearing about these women. They're just like, oh, you shouldn't have to do anything because, we're the prize and we just need to be women of leisure. We need to be able to, sit at home. We don't have to worry about any bills. And if they can't pay any bills, something happened to their job, then we wait for a little bit, and then if it takes too long, some a couple days, some a couple weeks, some a couple months, they gone. And that really shouldn't be the case. But I was looking at it and I was like, okay, well, that's what kind of prize are you if you are a modern woman who doesn't want the man to tell you how to dress, doesn't want to have to listen to the man, want to do whatever it is that you want to do, don't know how to cook, don't really want to clean, thinks that, okay, well, you should be able to pay for somebody to come in and cook. You should be able to pay for somebody to come and clean the house. And, I'll be intimate with you whenever I want to be intimate with you. What kind of prize is that? And then when I thought about it, I was like, okay, so these women think that they are carnival prizes. They're acting like goldfish. You know the goldfish that you win the carnival? You spend a bunch of money to get this damn fish, and all you get a chance to do is take it home, look at it, and feed it. So that's what these women are doing. Is okay, well, hey, I'm a goldfish. I'm the prize. You're gonna, have to take me home. You can't retouch me unless I want you to. Really, you can't do anything with me. But look at me. But you know what? I'm hungry, so go ahead and feed me. All you get to do is you spent money to get me, and now you can spend money feeding me. You chance to look at me, but don't expect me to do anything. Now, okay, that's, a metaphor for it, but just think about it. There's so many women now who are convincing other women that this is the way that they need to be, which is ridiculous because that's not a prize. If anything, that man is the prize because he's the one that has to do every damn thing. He has to pay for everything and he's responsible for everything. You have no responsibility and you just get a chance to just kind of sit there and do whatever it is that you want to do. In this case, fish swimming around. They're doing much more than that, of course, but they're not really doing anything for this man. And where did this come from? Yeah, it did come from, feminism. It came from women convincing other women that they somehow deserve this. You don't have to do anything to just deserve this. The man gets your presence. What is that? Your presence. What kind of prize is that? That's a goldfish. Your presence isn't enough when you're expecting all these other things from him. He's not supposed to expect anything from you. And how is that? A man who has done all these different things in order to be able to live the way he wants to live, to have money, or even if he doesn't have an awful lot of money, if he has a good job and he's hardworking, but he's supposed to get nothing out of it, and then allow you to come into his house and then decide that you're not happy and then kick him out of his own house and then take half of his money as well. None of that really makes any sense, does it? But for some reason, women are convincing themselves and one another that it's supposed to make sense. And not only does it make sense, it's not fair. So now, in talking about where this comes from, I want you to think about it this way. Of course, we talk about feminism. We talk about other women telling each other that this is how things are supposed to be. Now, when women decided that they wanted to, have equality, in their minds, they saw equality as having what they consider to be the benefits that man have, not taking on any of the requirements, any of the detriment, any of the responsibility. So you have women believing that they have a right to choose to do certain things, but they're not going to have the same responsibility that men have, which doesn't make any sense. So, I can choose to do that. No. If you actually now have the right to do it, you have the responsibilities that come along with those rights. And a lot aren't wanting that. So, if you now have this great job, now you should be paying for some things too. How is it that you get a chance to keep all your money and not put in the household? Whereas, women always did when they had a job. That just doesn't make any sense. And, in wanting all the same things that, men had the right to do and not wanting the responsibility, something else happened. What else happened is that now when you hunt and gather, that is what, working is. When you start putting in work, you then start to have expectations. So now women are having some of those expectations that men have. So when you hunt and gather, you're like, well, I'm working hard, so I want to play hard. I have expectations now, and then your expectations get bigger and bigger. The problem is that these women then have these expectations, but they don't want a man to expect anything from them. So now you're hunting and gathering, you have these expectations, and not only will you have expectations, hunting and gathering, working makes you hungry. Hungry for a lot of things, not just food. Hungry for excitement. It's the reason why a lot more of these women are now wanting to go out and, have multiple partners and all this different stuff. And there's an awful lot more cheating when they're out there working and things as well. Because now when you're out there working, you're hunting and gathering, you're doing some of the things that men do, you're starting to realize why things happened before with men. It's because you now want to have something. You want to have a reward for this work. The problem is that if you're not putting in anything into the household, your reward for your work as a woman is you're getting to keep most of your money. Because no matter what, a man is still going to try to put in much more than you if they have the ability to. So no matter what, you're always going to get a chance to have that reward. But you don't see it as that. You want those other rewards. And therein lies the problem. Now, getting back to, when the woman was saying that, if, you want a man, and if it's the man for you, that you're not going to have to be able to do anything. You just pretty much need to sit there and that man is going to come, to you. All these women are just, putting all this on God. Okay. Some of them prayed for him. Most of them didn't. But for the most part, most pastors will tell you, you may pray for something, but one of the things you need to pray for is for God to prepare you to have it. If you don't pray to have God prepare you to have it, you won't be ready for it when it comes. So what you need to do is understand that you have to be prepared. Part of that preparation, in most cases, is going to be changing. So therefore, you actually can accept what's supposed to be coming to you. So instead of looking at it as though this thing is supposed to be just perfectly suited for you, you need to be suited for it as well. So this thinking that you're not supposed to do anything is just kind of crazy, because most guys are sitting here, we talk to one another, and I'm talking to young guys and I feel sorry for them. These single guys out here just don't know what to do, because it is as if most of these women think that God is out there, as a black man, making these damn magical Negroes just for you. Where do they do that at? Where is that factory? I have no idea where that is. But when you look at it, you're like, okay, well, women were supposed to be made from a man's rib. Okay. God's not going to take the man, from your rib as a woman, the one that's supposed to be for you, because you already came from a man's rib, right? So now, where does he pull from? Let's just say God takes a strand of your hair in order to create that man for you. Now, here's the problem. Especially with a lot of sisters and even, white girls now, you may have weave in. So if God comes while you're sleeping and not paying attention and pull hair out and he gets some of that weave, first of all, it may be horsehair. So what now? Sugarfoot's your man. Some type of horse, your terrier, is now your man. Or, you got the hair from somebody from India. And now all of a sudden your man is Raj. And he comes to you and like, oh my goodness, how you doing today, girlie? You're not ready for that. Or if you're wearing a wig and it's Gertrude's hair and Gertrude dead, but when she was alive, she was a big girl. And now the man that's coming at you is some, fat dude named Jerome, and he got stank breath. So stank that his breath fills the whole tank of the word stank, and a super big belly. But God didn't know. He was like, man, you should have told me you wore a wig. Or you had a wig for somebody named Ethel, and, Ethel was a big girl too, and, she liked skinny little dudes who may have a problem with alcohol. So all of a sudden now, this skinny alcoholic named Odie, comes up to you, and, he's skinny as can be and just crazy looking. But now that's who you're looking at, because that's the man that was made for you, because God came and pulled that strand of your hair. Just turned out it wasn't yours. So what you have to do, and I know that's funny, it's just kind of crazy, but what I'm getting at is that you have to prepare yourself. One of the things I personally did was years back, I asked my mom, she was still alive, and I asked one of my sisters and some of my friends, and I was like, well, because things kept not working out, and I was like, tell me about me, tell me what I need to change, this, that, and the other, and tell me the truth. It wasn't terrible. There was a few things I was like, damn, okay then. But most of the stuff were things that I had thought about. And there are some things that I changed. Some things that I was like, okay, yeah, I don't necessarily know if I can change that aspect. But then I did ask some other questions. Female friends, family members said, well, tell me the things that women really want. Tell me some of the things that women, will really accept, and, what to look for. Because you have women saying that they like certain things, but they don't know what to do with that. They're not prepared for that. Like, for instance, you'll have these women who are describing the man that they want, and it's this damn mythological creature that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because there's things that they put into the design of this man that conflict. So they want this man to be loving, to be, decisive, to, have a bunch of money, to be extremely good looking, to be loyal, to not cheat, to be extremely generous, but to not be jealous, to not want to tell them how to dress, to not want to tell them what to do, to not make them have to work, to make it so that they don't have to cook, to make it so that they don't have to clean, so they can kind of sit around and do whatever. He doesn't care that she has 4 kids by 3 different baby daddies, and he doesn't care that she did threesomes. He doesn't care that, everywhere they go, there's always going to be a guy who's had sex with her, that he doesn't care about any of these things. He doesn't care about her past. He doesn't care that she has a criminal record. He doesn't care about this. He doesn't care about that. And these things conflict. So even if this man did exist, these women wouldn't respect him. Because if you have a man who lets a woman do everything that she wants to do, even if he does that, she still won't be happy, because why is he letting me run over him? And then once they start running over him, they're going to keep running over him, and then they're going to get bored with him, and they're going to end up leaving him. That's the way it goes. So when some of these women, describe this man that they're looking for, they're purposefully, in a bunch of cases, are describing a man that first doesn't exist, or a man that they're either never find or will never want them, so therefore they can always complain. And it's not all women. Not saying that at all. But so many do that. And any woman says that this isn't true for some women, they're just lying. Because unless you have no friends, as a woman, you know women who are like that. You know women who will, make an excuse for a guy who's a great guy because they truly don't want to have to perform for a man who's worthy. Because therein lies the problem. Whenever there is a man who is truly worthy, a man who's doing the things he's supposed to do, who is, got that money, he's going after stuff, he'll take care of you, he's doing these different things. He has expectations. Now you got to do something. You can't just sit there. And your friend's going to tell you, that's a good man, girl. All these things he's willing to do, this, that, and the other, and he's faithful too. Girl, you better go in there and cook him some greens. Girl, you better be willing to do whatever he wants you to do sexually. You better just, be looking after him. If he tired when he come home, you better rub that man's feet. You better rub his back. Why can't you do something for him? He been at work all day. You been sitting around doing nothing. And somebody come and clean your house at least once a week, so therefore you don't have to do any deep cleaning. All these things he's doing for you, but you don't want to do nothing. No, girl, and you're making excuses. No. So a lot of them don't want to perform. But what needs to happen is that if you truly want to be with somebody, you have to look at yourself and make the determination as to whether the person that you claim you want to be with would want you. It's not to say that, everybody in that classification will want you, but would reasonably somebody that's in that classification, or most people in that classification, even look at you, even want to be with you, not just saying, my friends think that I'm a good person. No, not that some other people perceive you as that, but are you truly that? If you are, then you're good, and then it'll happen and you put yourself out there. But this sitting back thinking that there's something wrong with everybody else because they just won't accept you the way you are and the things you're asking for, that type of person shouldn't reasonably want you because you're not what they would want. That just doesn't make any sense. So, as always, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with other folks. Again, Percy King with King Speak.